much. So I asked my friend Todd if you kind of start us in prayer.
We've been working with Walpole Island First Nation for almost a decade at this point, a really long time, and kind of through previous conversations, what came about was that nations really wanted to get together and learn from each other and have more in-person time to connect and discuss what they're working on and how they can collaborate, and also challenges that they're facing and how they can help each other. And so essentially Ontario Nature kind of said, hey, there's this pot of funding that can enable this to happen, and we'd love to support this work that you've identified that there's a gap and there's a need for. And so that's how this came together, and this is the second year that we're doing this gathering out of 3 years that we have funding for it. So it's really great to kind of see some familiar faces this year and kind of grow on the work that was done last year as well.
Today, the expectations were really just bringing people together, bringing our kin together from across our shared territory. The idea of this workshop is trying to find ways that can we come together more, but also how can we collaborate and help one another in between our communities. Our home, our traditional home has been devastated. I learned that Windsor-Essex has 4% of its original habitat left. And I asked people, do you think if you think about the land being Mother Earth, do you think she can survive off of 4%? If we talk about ourselves, what 4% would we keep of our body? Do you think we could survive? And a lot of people are shocked about that when they kind of make that relationship. No, it's impossible to survive off 4% of ourselves. What part will we save? Our heart, our brain, what? And so there's a lot of work in between our communities. Our communities are actually gems when it comes to nature. Walpole has more rare endangered species than any place in Canada. So we're gems, and so what we need to do is find ways to heal the lands in between our communities and working together. We've got some young talent that's growing and aspiring, but we need to bring them together with our elders and our resource users so that they can learn from their knowledge and their wisdom. We have responsibilities to our home, not just to our single communities.
Yeah, so I've been working with the Walpole Island Land Trust / Walpole Island Heritage Centre for a number of years in youth programming, and just our synergies with what we're looking to do to teach youth align really well, and working with Montana is also just really great, and just the synergies align really well. A lot of what the youth in our programming want to learn are similar to what a lot of the youth at Pequajwinong want to learn, so it's really nice to be able to share that sort of knowledge cross-culturally, and also our challenges and our successes. And Montana has been around for a lot of those events where we've been working together, and I've said this a lot today, like Montana saves the day quite a bit.
One thing that I really liked about this site was how accessible it was. So like if you're bringing anybody who has a stroller or any kind of mobile device, it's a lot easier for them to be able to get around. And also if you're bringing elders, like there's seating areas, which also I think would kind of be nice at some of the other ones. Plus there's like a lookout.
I'm really inspired by their talents, by their passion, by their commitment. Yeah, and so any way we can try to bring people together to kind of build on that and grow that as a group, that's what we're trying to do. One is just our knowledge holders, like Ron shared about some medicines and things. Like I didn't know that the leaves that he brought out, and Glenn even pointed out some medicines. So from Wiki, Larry talked about different things I didn't know about, some questions that he posed about us being in a different zone now. Hardiness zones changed from 6, what it used to be, to 7. So I thought, geez, that's alarming. That's climate change. Learning from the different communities that were represented here, just some of the work that they're doing and their expertise. I was kind of amazed and blown away by their gifts and what they're bringing forward, and the schooling that they've done, but also the schooling they've had on the land.
So I'm usually the auntie in the background holding all the university science folk can be helping and providing and really turning the Great Lakes Institute into a place of training, and working with like the city of Windsor for years and N.Da.Waab.Jig for years to figure out what does the next generation need and how can these tools and the training we provide help really empower the next generation.
I think the way that Clint asked us to kind of like connect with the land and introduce yourself to the plant, and then like they're telling you a message essentially, like his story about, you know, finding a patch of jewelweed and being like, oh, that's a gorgeous patch of jewelweed, and then the next day someone came back saying that they had poison ivy. It's like, oh, that jewelweed was telling me something. And then from there, hearing from Ron Sands about how you can identify jewelweed, what it does, and how it can support, you know, stinging nettle, poison oak, poison ivy. And I didn't know that. And that when you look into the sun with the stem, it looks clear. And I didn't know that. I just know what the flower looks like. So this was a lot for, like, that was new for me.
And that was an area where it wasn't actually bulldozed. So there's still kind of patches of like native species that are doing like kind of what you'd want to see in that space. But the other areas kind of internally where they did have to dig up is where there's just all of those kind of more of like a monoculture kind of now of these different species where we could have had a lot more biodiversity.
Shown this morning when Elena took us all out to do a water ceremony. That's how we can show up. That's our strengths as Indigenous peoples, as Anishinaabe, as Haudenosaunee, as Lenape, is by starting where we're comfortable, what we understand, our wisdom, our knowledge, our connection to nature, bringing that forward, because that's what's missing in the speeches. That's why there's only 4% left. They didn't have that connection or those understanding those responsibilities. So starting at that spiritual level, that's a foundation of our people. And the trees and the plants and the beings here, they're spiritual as well. And our people have always understood that, and we're able to know how to kind of be in a relationship with the beings here and live in balance, learn from them. These are our original teachers. And so finding ways that we can connect to nature and sharing that with all our allies, with all the people that live in our home, and helping them understand how to be responsible as well. Because a lot of them come and don't know. Some of them are afraid to ask. So if we can provide venues and opportunities for them to kind of learn, then they'll do what they have to do to step up. Those that really get it, and that's the idea, is that we got to help them get it, help them understand, help them feel just like we feel. When we did that water ceremony, boy, I could really feel that. I could really feel when we were kind of thanking the water for doing its job and loving us the way it wants to be loved. That's how we show up. We just show up by being who we are, inviting our elders, inviting our youth, coming together to share, and really kind of paying attention to listen. And I love that we got to go for a walk in nature and be there, just kind of connect, feel the trees, hear the birds, feel the land.
Anybody got an idea? If you know, put up your hand. How many species of trees do we have in Essex County? Nobody? Nobody?
87.
How many?
87.
87. It's a little high. It's a little high. It's about 70. It's about 70 species of trees. Okay, in the Carolinian zone.
A lot of new things and teachings and learnings. I always love going on walks with Larry. I feel like I always learn something new every time I've gone out with him, and I've probably gone out with him like dozens of times. He's just such a wealth of knowledge. And I just love how he contextualizes nature. Humans, I find in general, as like a species, are very anthropocentric, right? Like we focus on us rather than everything around us. And putting it into perspective, humans in this like landscape of 15,000 years, right? Like me as a human, I think of my lifespan as being maybe like 80, 100 years, and thinking about Mother Earth, like she's been around forever. She has changed, grown, adapted, and just the resiliency of Mother Earth, like the way he framed like, oh, what does this area look like 15,000 years ago versus 8,000 years ago versus 4,000 years ago? And just thinking about that, like that's obviously what I think about in terms of some of our restoration work as well. Like when we're working on the land to, restore, agricultural area back to forest, that's going to take way beyond my generation. And so putting that into perspective is really great.
Clint talked about that earlier. Anything that ails you, the cure will be within 10 feet of that medicine that is ailing you. Okay? But I don't see no jewelweed. The other thing that would be around here would be stinging nettle. Okay, because there's another kind of universal rule. Anything that burns and stings, the antidote will burn and sting. Now, if you ever walk through stinging nettle, they call it itchweed also, because it burns and stings, right? You'd make that into a paste and you would use that on your poison ivy, okay? Jewelweed, on the other hand, if you break open the stem, there's juice inside there, and that's what you want to put on your poison ivy or your poison oak, okay?
I wanted to just acknowledge that I'm really grateful that Gajemdo brought us here. You know, I'm thinking about the ceremonies that we did and the opening prayers that we had this morning. It really is a good tone to set things in a good way, and that's one thing I just wanted to acknowledge the Creator, how He's bringing us together. In my mind, these are not happenstance. They're intention. It's what Creator wants for us, and we know from our own teachings how non-Indigenous peoples are going to be coming to Native Indigenous peoples to learn about how do we fix the mess that we're in when it comes to the environment and issues with land and water and so on. And it's happening right now, and it's good to feel that we have folks that are wanting to hear. A lot more work needs to happen, and that's one of the things I envision that this group can help with is finding ways to help the newcomers to Canada, help the settlers, help those who have been here for a few generations to understand how to step forward in good ways and live in balance, because we got to turn things around for our future generations, all of our children, not just Indigenous or non-Indigenous. We have to come together and be intentional about our works, set targets, set goals, press our governments. That's what we should be advocating for right now when these potential elections coming up with the federal government or the provincial government, you know. So just finding ways to rally around the environment, about the land and the water and our responsibilities to it, and finding ways that we could keep places like this space here. You know, there's not a lot of nature in many urban centers, but Windsor is really blessed with this Ojibway Nature Complex, and hopefully it'll become the second national urban park in Canada, and with our people involved and with our people co-governing and co-managing, helping with land-based education and the care and the stewardship of this space, because it's needed. We've been missing and been erased from these spaces for a long time, and so now we're things like the Truth and Reconciliation Commission report and others are helping us to step forward and feeling supported and feeling wanted actually to help in these spaces. So it's really encouraging that we're already seeing that happen with some of our communities that were here today. And you can feel that energy that they have, you know, that just they want to do something, they want to turn things around and make change good.
I think the best part of the day was just having everyone from our local First Nations, neighbors, sister nations come together and just catch up with each other, see what everyone's doing and how we can help each other. And I'm really looking forward to the next Gidakiiminan E-Nakiijig Gathering.